Germany's elite SS divisions were ordered to fight to the death. They thought they were invincible, until they encountered the Canadian Army at Falaise. This was a battle that Germany would like to forget forever. August 1944. After Normandy, the Germans, including the SS, were forced into the Falaise Pocket, a death trap. Desperation turned them into savage beasts. To close the Falaise Pocket, Canadian troops faced the desperate wrath of the SS head-on. This would be the most brutal confrontation of the Normandy campaign. Canadian units were under supreme orders. Route 20 must be held at all costs. This was the final gateway, where the entire German retreat route lay within range of Allied fire. In the pre-dawn mist, the Canadians' mission was simple: lock down the north. They faced not just an army, but a wall of steel protected by SS hatred. German units were surrounded out of contact and without reinforcements. Last orders: prepare a circular defense and fight to the end. This is not a regular attack, but a big hunt, the Canadian captain declared. They had to be stronger than desperate aggression. The SS Panzer division moved at lightning speed, turning every turn into a death trap. Their speed and danger posed a great threat. Hidden in the deep woods, Canadian soldiers held their breath as they listened to the screech of tank tracks, very close. They were absolutely not allowed to move. Most of the Germans had only one thought: survive and get out. These fields quickly became graveyards. The Firefly crew locked on their target, a Panzer IV. The order to load armor-piercing shells was given firmly. Prepare to fire! Fire! The 17-pounder's punch ripped through the Panzer IV's armor. The Battle of Falaise erupted with pure violence. The SS responded aggressively, firing back repeatedly with MP40s. They attempted to suppress the Firefly's firepower and called in artillery. Canadian soldiers ran headlong through the hail of bullets. They had to run as fast as they could to their checkpoint and not stop. German artillery counterattacked mercilessly. The entire area turned into a fiery slaughterhouse. Death lurked from every direction. The Sherman was attacked from the right flank. The order was given to return fire immediately to destroy the counterattack target. Syrian's resistance was brutal. The MG-42s fired continuously. Orders were given to maintain a high rate of fire to hold the position. Canadian soldiers threw grenades to break through German fortifications. They quickly took cover and prepared to charge immediately after the explosion. The grenade explosion created great chaos. The Canadian soldiers were determined to clear all obstacles to close the pincer. Sherman tanks break through the ruined wall. Orders: maintain constant pressure and concentrate on destroying armored vehicles. The SS fired the Panzerfaust and claimed to have hit the target. The order to retreat was given because the position had been exposed. The Sherman was hit. Flames were pouring out. The order was shouted to continue firing back in the enemy direction, despite the damage. Canadian soldiers were forced to use flamethrowers to destroy the last points of resistance, turning the German fortifications into inferno. The SS were forced to leave everything behind, leaving only their survival instincts. They were crushed between two pincers, disintegrating en masse. SS officers tried in vain to maintain order, warning that soldiers would die on the death road if they did not fight. Humanity was buried. A desperate soldier waved a white flag, but it was shot down immediately. War takes no prisoners. Canadian gunners were ordered to clear out those machine gunners. It was accurate and relentless fire from perfect range. The German troop transport truck overturned. There was no way out. Falaise had become an impassable trap, blocking the way of retreat. Canadian soldiers were ordered to clear quickly and keep up the pace of the attack to meet the American troops. Canadian and SS soldiers wrestle hand-to-hand for guns. Tensions and violence are on the verge of erupting. The captain declared that it was time to call it a day. They would close the damn bag and move into full attack mode. The German soldiers were screaming because they had no more ammunition. They had to shoot what was left, but this was a last desperate resistance. Canadian tanks advanced and crushed German fortifications. German survival chances were nil. 3 German soldiers dropped their guns and raised their hands in surrender. Despair was written all over their faces. The war was over. The Canadian artillery continued to reap the rewards. Tens of thousands of Germans were now targets. This was the hell of mechanized warfare. The corridor of death was the only way out, filled with utter chaos. The defensive line had completely collapsed. The Canadian captain ordered, "The doors open. They must move forward, complete the mission, and not let a single one escape." Canadian soldiers hastily strung barbed wire across the road. They had to block off their retreat, not allowing even a rat to get through. The German soldier's face trembled with extreme fear. He realized the war was ending for him right here. The Canadians swept their guns through the bunker and confirmed the enemy had fled. The orders were to clear quickly and move on. Even the mightiest tigers of steel were brought down. German resistance in Normandy was completely crushed. Canadian soldiers marched in unison, singing softly. They had made it through hell. They continued to move forward to complete their mission. The German soldier tried to fire the MG-42, but only a hollow click came out. He screamed in despair as there was nothing left. The Canadian soldiers stopped and saw the Americans. They recognized each other. The two pincers had closed. The American soldier took off his helmet and breathed a sigh of relief. He whispered that he thought he would never see the sun again. The Canadian soldiers shouted, "The door is closed!" They shook hands in victory at this slaughterhouse. Canadian tank crews declare that the Americans have kept their word. The two tanks face off, celebrating a cooperative victory. The two officers nodded at the map. The handshake moment declared, the Normandy campaign was over. Tens of thousands of German soldiers became prisoners of war. This was a fatal, almost irreversible blow to Nazi Germany. 3 Canadian soldiers laughed loudly, waving their arms on the tank, celebrating. They declared that they had done the impossible. Night fell. The calm after the storm was the clearest evidence. Falaise was closed. Dawn reveals the horrors of the Falaise Slaughterhouse. Thousands of vehicles were reduced to giant piles of scrap metal. Canadian soldiers were stunned by the scale of the destruction. It was unbelievable. The numbers were much larger than they had imagined. Nature gradually heals, but the soldiers' memories of war never fade. Canadian soldiers collect abandoned German weapons. They lament, "This place has to be cleaned up." What a mess. That victory came at a terrible price. The brutality of the battle would haunt them forever. 2 Canadian and American soldiers shook hands for the last time. They carried with them indelible memories of horror. Amid the rubble, life revived. The Canadians brought freedom to their people at a great cost. The River Dives carries countless stories of horror, washing away the blood and dust of a fateful battle. The Canadian captain wrote in his notebook, "Today is the end, and it is also the beginning of another nightmare." The victory at Falaise was a testament to the courage and spirit of the Canadian Army. It was a bloody and unforgettable victory,